James having lobster pizza, and we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to talk about Superstore. I think it was the 5th season. Let's take a look-see. So I brought out the Catalina dressing because honestly I have no idea what pairs with. I put it on the basil, pesto basil power bowl, and we'll see how it goes. It actually wasn't that hard getting into the lobster. I used a hammer, and that cracked the shell, and then I was able to just pull out the meat. That's the meat. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I know, it looks pretty. Well, I managed to get it out looking pretty.
In a gruesome kind of way. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, it does bother me because I've heard about how lobsters used to be like 6 feet long or something like that, and just people have been eating the smaller and smaller ones, and really what we're eating now are just like little baby lobsters. Like they used to live a really long time. Anyway. But what do you do, right? That's the world these days. So I brought out the knife if you want to cut things up more, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, season 5. So I got through season 4, and James, I don't think he enjoyed listening to this as much as I did. I laughed quite a few times during season 4 and 5. Of course it's not believable. I mean, you watch this stuff and you're like, do these people ever work? Like, they're just goofing off all the time, and I mean, they wouldn't get away with that, right? But
not in that context. Like, no. I could see it under Mifflin. That's a bit different.
Yeah.
On the office.
How's lobster?
Not bad.
Good.
Cool.
We got it given to us for free, so I'm very thankful for it. And I don't know how pesto basil lobster pizza with Catalina dressing is going to be, but I didn't put the dressing on. I just brought it out as an option in case James wanted it to be a little saucier. Because what I was going to do, actually, I will make it this way when I make with the lobster again. I was going to put a different sauce on, and I think that'll be good, but we'll see how it is without for now. So, yeah, what was I going to talk about with this Superstore thing?
You're talking about it being unrealistic.
Yeah, like, there's the, what's his face? Oh dear, what's his name? The Kids in the Hall. Yeah. Mark McKinney. So his character, he's the manager, right, of the store. And when his...
Boy,
they're really wanting that stuff. When... Woo, boy, are they ever excited about it. When his baby comes into the picture, well, he wants to spend time with the baby, and so he decides, okay, well, I don't want to be a manager anymore, I want to be a floor worker. Well, that's not realistic. Anybody who's worked, I'll just leave it there, realizes that the more you're promoted, the less you actually have to work. The higher your wages, the less you have to actually work, and the less stressful your job is, the higher up you go. So it's that's not believable at all that he would decide to do that. He would know that. He would know that. And so anyway, and having all of the expenses of having a baby now and wanting to set up college fund and everything, that's just not believable. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
especially in the United States.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be set in the United States.
Yeah. So.
Are these guys unionized? They don't even mention it.
Oh, they're not, but in the show they're trying to be. So they're fighting to try to get a union and stuff like that.
Why would you want to work the floor?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there's ridiculous things in here, whatever, but it does make me laugh quite often, so what more do you want?
I know.
Comedy, right? It doesn't need to be believable or anything like that.
It's got to be fun.
It just has to be funny. It does the job, whatever. So it's good enough for me. So I have been working on poetry, but I didn't bring out anything to read to you because I don't think any of my poetry that I've been working on. I've been working on hiking poetry, and well, I may as well read that while I'm hiking. I don't see any point to reading it while I'm sitting here. And yeah. And then what else?
Although people do get a taste of nature, light on shrub overhang. It's almost like
Sit
a tree.
with the plants. And
some geraniums there.
But I should have these in the sun more. I meant to bring them out, and I meant to actually move them over to James's house, but I didn't get around to it this year. And now it's like, okay, well, we're already at August, so really what's the point?
Is it August the 1st already?
Tomorrow it is. So there's really no point in me bringing them to James's house as far as I can see. I'll just end up bringing them right back here. So may as well just leave them where they are. And if they don't make it over the winter because they haven't gotten enough sun over the summer, well, I guess it doesn't really matter that much either, really, does it? So, did you get it? Maybe?
These guys are antsy, except when they get right on the lobster, and then they're not moving. I guess they know I'm not going to swat the lobster.
Swat the lobster, yeah. But, anyway, so James was looking up at the library. I was typing up a poem for a blog post, and it was a long one, so it was taking me forever. And James was looking up some stuff about the Trump assassination attempt. And
yeah, maybe better not talk about it, because I think they're going to get ready to suppress any talk of being...
okay. Well, we won't talk about it then.
All the major influencers, traditional and CNN, are talking about fake news just flying all over the internet.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked kind of funny to me when he swatted and there was blood, but I don't know. Maybe that's.
I don't want to say one way or another. It's probably best not to talk about it because you could get shut off of the internet.
So, honestly, it has nothing to do with me. So, whatever.
Well, if he gets elected, there's plenty to do with you, especially if we get the scumbag.
Yeah.
So-called conservative. I thought he was going to be elected here in Canada. We're just going to go hog wild.
Yeah. Anyway. But,
I haven't made up my mind about the whole thing. It is suspicious that the accused shooter ended up dead, because then things can't come up in the trial, similar to what happened to the Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
They claim it was Secret Service agents. Those are President's Guard who shot the guy. How he got on the roof, I don't know. Is the roof like slanted or something like that?
Well, they did show pictures of it. They showed
What I mean is, how did he get up there?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be checking for something like that? I mean, it's not as though it was a parade.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they know where the event's scheduled. Anyway, whatever. Is that a hard bit? Did I miss a hard bit? I'm so sorry.
It's like a fingers.
Yeah, it is.
There's
Sorry
a
about
bit.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were there. I mean, I've never eaten lobster. My dad did get me lobster when I was a kid. When
Out
we,
on the East Coast.
yeah, when we moved to PI, there was a lobster dinner at my school, and it was $10 a lobster.
It's expensive. That was a
They were-
little while back.
it wasn't expensive then. Dad thought it was a very good deal, and it
Okay.
was. And they were big lobsters too. And so there was a lobster dinner for some reason in the gym. So they had it all set up, tables and everything, and Dad was very excited to get us lobsters. So we went there, and he got 4 lobsters, and they were served up just like lobster, looking like lobsters, and
And you start
Dad
feel
had
sorry
to
for
eat
them.
4 lobsters.
Yeah.
There was no way that any of us, my mom, my sister, and I, we were not touching those things. So, yeah. It's always fun trying to treat children to something special, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway,
What else was that? Well, it looks as though I'll have to be taken on Tucker Carlson.
who's that?
Some idiot on Fox Network.
Oh, is he an idiot?
Okay, he's
Well,
on
he's
Fox,
on Fox
Network.
Network, so.
I know you should have said
I
some
know.
idiot.
I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah. So he was accusing Bob Woodward of being a CIA agent.
well, it seems pretty obvious, right?
He'd be a very likely candidate. But what he was saying was a bad guy for getting rid of Richard Nixon.
Hmm?
And he played a major role in it. Now, understand, he was just a soldier with the CIA, if indeed.
Yeah, it looks
Now,
just like fish
understand,
fins.
I
That's
think-
weird. So it's like fish fins that turn into claws. Weird.
So
Lobsters are wild.
I'll have to check. I don't know if I can prove it, but his accusations came early last year, 23. I think
Oh,
I've been.
blimey.
I might be able to document it by going back, looking at when I came out with that accusation. I don't know if
Oh my gosh.
his Russian employers,
Yeah.
handlers, mined it off of the internet. I found not so much an accusation, it's a observation. So from what I can tell, Richard Helms, who's the head of the CIA at that point in time, well, for a very short point in time, after Richard Nixon was re-elected, Richard Nixon made him ambassador to Iran, got rid of him.
Oh boy, this really wants your lobster. He just keeps coming back. He's like, oh, don't shoo me away. I want that lobster. Wow, is he ever? Did you get him? Wow. Maybe.
He was too persistent.
He really was.
Maybe it's him back
Well, there's always somebody to take his place, right?
That's right. It's like having someone on the highway tailgate you. As soon as they
All right, so I guess,
that's the guy.
oh my gosh. Yeah, he's got a broken wing now. And he's still going for the pizza. He's like, it's worth it. I might die for it, but whatever.
Anyway, yeah, I did get him a bonus.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I'm letting him live. I don't know how long he's going to survive.
All right, so how do you rate lobster pizza?
Well, it's pretty good. I ate the lobster first because
Yeah.
I knew the flies would, it's a little less persistent.
So good even without a sauce.
Yeah, I don't need the sauce. I might put it on now, but your pizzas are pretty good. Anyway,
Sorry,
Um,
I got you.
I've been reading something. I've basically gone through
I'm gonna flick this off.
everything but the index and
Hang on.
the
Little
footnotes.
compost out there. Feed that.
Richard Helms, man who kept the secrets. And boy, did he keep secrets. So he was kind of like one of the top flunkies in the CIA when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He wasn't the head. The head was appointed by John F. Kennedy after the Bay of Pigs. John F. Kennedy got rid of the leader who led and misled him into the Bay of Pigs. The leader of the CIA called Allen Dulles. And so John McCone was the guy who replaced Allen Dulles. And boy, did Helms keep secrets from him. That's from his boss. So what happened was Kennedy was not that thrilled about all the various things that the CIA had been doing, especially in league with the mafia. I don't know if he realized the mafia was involved, but they were trying to assassinate Castro. And the way Kennedy seemed to have seen it, and his brother Robert Kennedy, who's the Attorney General, head of the Justice Department and also head of the FBI, was we don't do, that is, we, the United States, don't do assassinations. So they eventually set up something where they were working with Che Guevara, apparently, to get rid of Castro. So the idea was get rid of Castro. If Che Guevara decided to kill him, that was up to him. See how that works out? So it wasn't the CIA, especially, well, Kennedy didn't know about the mafia being involved in these assassinations, various assassinations, during his administration, because who was keeping it secret? The man who kept the secrets. The account. He's keeping it secret from his boss, and of course that kept it secret from the Kennedys. Woo! So Helms was kind of a loose cannon in that way, a very tight loose cannon. He kept his lips sealed. So what happened later on, about 9 years later, and the thing is, the guys who were plotting to kill Castro just turned on Kennedy. They were the same guys. They were using they're basically using the CIA as a front to whack Kennedy. And of course they had elements like E. Howard Hunt, who was a real loose cannon.
Those guys were crazy.
To work with them to get rid of Kennedy. And
so are you using this or not? Okay.
It's plenty good without. So when Watergate happened, three of the Watergate burglars, I think there were 4, 3 of them were former CIA agents. Is there such a thing as a former CIA agent? Were they still CIA agents? No. One of those guys, some of those guys maybe, several, had done a break-in on a guy called Daniel Ellsberg. Well, not on him, but I think it was a psychiatrist. Ellsberg had released what were called the Pentagon Papers. He'd worked, I think, in the American military. I don't think so much the intelligence community. And he released a lot of stuff about Vietnam. And Nixon was mad. I mean, the CIA would have been mad. The military would have been mad. I don't think the CIA necessarily had anything to do with the break-in, but they had apparently provided E. Howard Hunt with some equipment. So to a certain extent, he was still working with them. What happened is when Watergate started to come down, Nixon was feeling the pressure because that break-in was done at his behest. And this thing looks like a horse. Got to get rid of it. It's kill or be killed. So all of a sudden he's telling the head of the CIA or the FBI, you got to shut this down. It was his own appointee, Herb Gray. Second in command under Herb Gray was Barry Felt, who was later on revealed, much later on, just before he died, was revealed as a deep throat, Bob Woodward's source. So he's the guy who should have been appointed, or that's what he figured, and he's probably right, should have been appointed to replace J. Edgar Hoover. Instead, it was a political appointment by Nixon, and he put a guy called, was it Herb Gray? Some sort of Gray. As head of the FBI. So he's telling Gray he's better shut down Watergate, all investigation and stuff like that. Well, that's kind of like a crime. It's a cover-up. Not kind of, it is. And then, so he's telling the FBI to commit a crime for his own sake. Nixon said so. And then he's telling Richard Helms he'd better shut down the crime, or shut down the investigations and stuff like that. Well, Helms would have had a problem with that. The CIA is not supposed to operate domestically. They're already doing spying, the CIA was, on trying to find, or ascertain rather, if there was a foreign involvement in various student movements, left-wing movements in the United States. But they kept on saying there wasn't, and Nixon would disagree. So I think basically the CIA didn't want to be involved in doing that. But they've been already breaking the law. And then Helms is sitting there thinking, what? Nixon's telling me to break the law even further by covering up, like break the law where they're not supposed to be doing domestic stuff, and then by breaking the law, doing a cover-up for Nixon. Helms is going, why the hey should I do that? And then he realizes the reason why Nixon's telling him to do that is basically telling him to fall on the sword. Nixon doesn't care if Helms gets caught covering up, because it'll look as though Helms is covering up the CIA involvement with these former CIA agents. Nixon's trying to shunt the guilt for not just the Ellsberg break-ins, but the Watergate break-in, and various other dirty tricks, I suppose, against the Democratic Party, onto Helms. And, well, for any variety of reasons, some of them, like personal, some of them having to do with protecting the CIA, but some of them presumably to protect the United States from this massive perversion of justice. I think he already had Bob Woodward in place at the Washington Post. Well, Washington, D.C. is roughly the area where the CIA has its headquarters. Technically speaking, they're in Virginia. Langley, I think, is the name of the place. Kind of west or southwest of Washington, D.C. And so he would have had Bob Woodward in place. It was pretty well timed. I think he started with the Washington Post Woodward in 1971. He tried in 70s, kind of flunked out in his audition. Anyway, it was a timely sort of appointment. 5.
Yep.
And Woodward did a good job, because one of the things is he kept that secret. I called him Deeper Throat. Barry Felt was Deep Throat. The FBI, basically, he might as well have been the head of the FBI. Probably should have been. He's probably right in thinking he should have been, and not this stupid guy, Gray. I don't know what his name is. Herb Gray, I think it's some guy in Canadian politics, but his name was Gray. And Bob Woodward was definitely not anywhere near being the head of the FBI or the CIA, but he had the same kind of qualifications as Richard Helms did. Yale graduate, I suspect Helms was a member of Skull and Bones. Apparently Woodward was. They both were members of the Navy. And so Ivy League, Yale, members of the Navy, Skull and Bones at Yale, kind of a creepy what do you call it, a frat, I guess, frat fraternity or something like that, both frat boys. And that's how I found out the possible connection. I was reading a book on an encyclopedia on spies. I went through it all, and I noticed that similarity. Another head of the CIA, a longtime member, they deny it, but George Bush was around the time of JFK's assassination, 63, 76 for a short period. He was named head of the CIA, but Yaley, member of Skull and Bones, and people will say, well, wasn't he a flyer? Yeah, he was a flyer for the Navy. He was a pilot for the Navy. I think that was during World War II. So Bob Woodward did the job because no one's found out about it until I found out about it. I think figured it out. Tucker Carlson, I think he got it off of me. I'll have to check back and see if we got that on the internet before he did. Maybe the Russians figured it out for him. But it's hilarious him talking about it. See, like Nixon was all mobbed up with the Sicilian mob, and now Tucker Carlson would be supporting guys all mobbed up even more with the Russian mob, Donald Trump. And I've realized why. I used to go, why is Rupert Murdoch supporting Trump and this sort of stuff? Rupert Murdoch was rescued probably by some sleazy bank way back, I think it was in the early 90s, and it would have been probably Russian mob, even before Putin. Yeah. So that's what they've got a hold on Rupert Murdoch. Well, he's almost dead. Who cares? Yeah, they'd have a hold on his kids. The mafia will kill whoever it takes to make sure you or whomever does their bidding. If you're looking as though you don't care whether you die or not, say, hey, you want to see your kids die? You want to see your grandkids die? You do what you like. We'll do what we like. Yep. So, a couple of minutes left?
Yep.
There we go. I don't know if I've got much more to say about that, but we'll just see if I got it out there before Tucker Carlson did. If I did, I'll be accusing Tucker Carlson of stealing my idea and then perverting it, because Richard Nixon had to be taken down. It was for whatever reason Richard Helms did that, whether it was to save his own skin or the CIA's collective skin. Nixon was way worse than the CIA. The CIA was involved with the mafia, and were like the mafia killed Kennedy, but the mafia was fooling them. The mafia wasn't fooling Richard Nixon. This goes back to 1946. He started making his way in politics with mob money. He was all mobbed up, that ugly creep. He had to be taken down. It was a wonderful era in American history when he got taken down. Eventually Donald Trump will have to be taken down. I'm talking about legally. So if you don't like him, don't go taking pot shots at him, just in case the assassination attempt was legitimate. I think the American system is strong enough to overcome it. Understand, the military might have to have a takeover for a while and stuff like that. I'm not encouraging them to, or not discouraging them to. If Trump starts looking as though he's doing too much of Putin's will, it won't be the CIA who'll be taking over, it'll be the military. But we'll see what happens. But Trump had better mind his P's and Q's, because he is